Alright, hi, and welcome to my channel. My name is Casey, and today I'm bringing you just a quick short reading about what you need to hear right now. Specifically, like, what is the most urgent message that has been trying to come to you, whether it's, maybe your spirit guides are leaving angel numbers for you, or coincidences here and there, but maybe it's just not clicking, it's not getting through. Is there any really important message that needs to reach you right now? Whatever it is, we're gonna figure it out today. So, today we have 3 different readings for you to choose from. We have pile 1 with the rose quartz, pile 2 with the angelite, and pile 3 with the crazy lace agate. So go ahead and pause, figure out which one you feel most drawn to. I'll leave timestamps down in the description box below so you can quickly jump to whichever reading that you want to listen to. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it. Alright, pile 1. If you chose the rose quartz, then this is going to be the reading for you. And off the bat, I want you to hear that what you're going through and what you're dealing with, especially when it comes to loneliness or feeling different from others, you are not the only person going through this. I think there's a lot more people around you and a lot more people in general that are going through what you're going through that just don't talk about it. And I feel like you feel so isolated from everybody, really. I feel like you don't have anybody truly close to you. And I think it stems from you feeling very different. I think that you were always, maybe you had really eclectic interests as a child, maybe you dress differently or act differently, maybe you were just born different and you never understood how to act quote-unquote normal. And because of this, you told yourself this lie of like, well, I'm just an introvert. I just like to be alone. I just like to do my own thing. When in reality, I feel like you're naturally more of an extrovert. You're naturally more somebody that loves to be around people. Naturally somebody that loves to have nurturing friend groups and just being amongst people that you love and care about. But you've had to adjust to being a quote-unquote introvert because you don't have that solid friend group. I feel like you feel judged, or you feel like you're the ugly duckling. You know that story where I think it was like a baby goose that was raised in a family of ducks and always thought that he was the ugly duckling, and turned out he just wasn't meant to be with the ducks. He was actually a beautiful swan. I feel like that is kind of reminiscent of what I'm seeing here in these cards. I think something that you need to hear right now is you need to unlearn all these things that you've told yourself about why you don't fit in, why you're different, why people don't like you, because it's all lies you've constructed around yourself, walls that you've put up to push people away, to make you feel secure, to make you think that this introvertedness is your choice, that being alone is something that you want, when in reality it's like you're not happy where you are. You want more. You have this Five of Pentacles card, and this card is all about being left out in the cold. It's about being lonely, isolated, feeling like penguins, how they all huddle together to keep warm and they like shuffle in and out and like take care of each other. I feel like you're completely outside of that. You're just out in the cold. You have no community. You have no sense of camaraderie or friendship, and it's something that you deeply crave. And you need to start by admitting to yourself that, that is something that you want in your life. I feel like for a long time maybe you've turned away from it, or you've accepted this idea that, well, I'm just meant to be alone. Maybe people aren't meant to like me. And that's not the truth at all. There's billions of people in this world. Like, there's bound to be people that are gonna like you. There's bound to be people just like you. There's bound to be people that have the same interests, that talk the same way, like the same things, want to do the same things with their life. You've committed to this idea that everybody is different, and you are just, you're never going to find anybody like you, and that's just not true. So the first step that you need to take is just accepting your truth, accepting that you do want more. You want to be accepted. You want to have your own community, your own friend groups, yada yada, whatever. That's where you need to start, because when I was getting this nurture card, it literally like flew out of the deck, fell on the floor. I was trying to grab it and it was sliding all over the place. Like, it literally felt like when you play air hockey and the thing is like sliding away from you. That's how I feel like you have this relationship with nurturing yourself, where you try to avoid it at any instance. You try to avoid delving into your psyche, introspection, asking yourself what you truly want, when it comes to your desires, your hopes, your needs, I feel like you neglect them. You look away from them. Maybe even, I don't know if this is the right word, but like starve yourself of the things that you want. And I think you do so out of fear. You do so out of fear of rejection, because what if you do try and then your fears are confirmed? And then you're pushed away, or you're cast out, or you don't find what you want, and then you've made yourself vulnerable just to be shut down, and it's like, why did I even try? But the only thing holding you back is your fear. I think you need to start by undoing all these notions that you have inside of you of why you're bad. I feel like you have this horrible idea in your head of you being like some monster, of being so completely different that you're unlovable, and that's just not true. You're a human being. Unless you've killed people, there's nothing you could have done that is so horrendous that people wouldn't want to love you. People wouldn't want to be around you. I think that you have a lot of qualities worthy of being loved. And you just have lied to yourself, told yourself that there's nothing about you that's good, that people would want, that would make people stick around, that would make people interested. I think you yourself have been pushing away all these people, and it's just been this like self-confirming thing where it's like, if you decide you want to push people away, no wonder they don't want to come in. If you wall up and you make it clear to people that you're not interested in getting to know them, or you're a loner, or you prefer to be alone, of course they're going to leave you alone. You need to start by being open. You need to start by showing an interest. And I know that's a lot easier said than done. I know it's a very difficult thing, especially if you deal with anxieties around these things. But the very first thing that you need to do is admit to yourself that this is something that you want. You need to start with changing your perspective. And then from there, you can change little things. Like, when somebody wants to get to know you, instead of like being quiet and walling up and turning away or saying not interested, be a little bit more open about it. And then, of course, there's a whole route to go down of like how you actually meet people and, inviting people into your life. But, that's for another time. That's for other people to teach you. But I think right now what you need to hear from these cards is you need to start by accepting what it is that you want. Looking your wants and desires in the eye and saying, I'm allowed to have these. I'm allowed to follow through with them. I don't need to wall myself off. I'm not so completely different that nobody will ever love and accept me. Like I said, there's billions of people. Everybody's different in their own way, but I promise you, there are a ton of people just like you. A ton of people who enjoy the exact same things. People that you would have so much in common with that it's like, why haven't we been best friends our entire life? And all this time, it's like you thought that there was only one of you, and you were so different from the rest of the world that nobody could ever want to be around you. And that is complete BS. So the very first thing that you need to start doing is undoing these fears, allowing yourself to open up a little bit more, and looking at yourself and asking yourself, what do you want out of life? What do you want out of connection? Do you want connections? And be completely truthful about it. Because for so long, you've been telling yourself lies that you don't want it, you don't need it, just to protect yourself from what happens if you say you want it and you don't get it, how much more hurt it would be. So you make it your choice to push everyone away. It's time to undo that and recognize that that isn't the choice you want. You don't want to push everybody away. You don't want to be alone. You don't enjoy being alone. And you don't have to be. I promise you, there are people out there for you. But you need to start with yourself. So, pile 1, that is everything that I have for you. I really hope that this reading finds you when you need it the most. This is supposed to be like, what urgent message do you need to hear right now? I think this has been a long time coming. So, I hope this finds you when you're ready to hear it. That is everything that I have for you. Thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye. Okay, pile 2. I see what you need. I tried to shuffle as fast as possible because I wanted to get the message to you while it was fresh in my head. And I almost wanted to start filming while shuffling, which I usually never do because it takes a lot of time. Because your cards are just so spot on. There's one clear message here. You can even see that these are literally identical almost in picture-wise. It's 2 bottles. You have overwhelmed and bottled up. And basically, I think your message is you need to learn how to better communicate. I think you have a really hard time with vulnerability and speaking openly about your emotions and not reverting to closing up or reverting to anger or reverting to arguments. I think especially this is something that you've had a hard time learning for a very long time, but now you have somebody in your life who is a positive force, somebody that you love very much, somebody you want to build a relationship with. But in order to maintain this, when there are things that come up, you need to learn how to properly communicate. And I'm literally getting such like an anxious, like repressed energy from your cards. Like literally like this bottled up thing where the pressure is just building and the top wants to blow off. If you know anything about chakras, there's one called the throat chakra. And I don't know if you work with these or even believe in them. But me personally, when it comes to the throat chakra, it loves to be cleared. Even if you have like secrets that, you have a good reason why you should keep those in, your throat chakra doesn't, think one way or the other. It just wants to be cleared. It wants to say everything. It wants to lay everything out on the table. And when you don't, or at least for me personally, it feels very blocked. It feels like it wants to escape. And with you, I feel like these feelings, these emotions, you bottle them up. You don't let them out. You don't talk about them. You're very scared of vulnerability. And I don't say this to like berate you. I'm not yelling at you. It's like I get this repressed feeling that it's like all this wants to come out and needs to come out. And I understand. I understand how hard it is. For a long time, I personally had a really hard time with communication. It wasn't something I really knew how to do until I got into a relationship with my current partner, who we've been together 2 years now. But in the beginning, it was very difficult because instead of talking, what I would do is I would just wall up. I would go silent. I would be passive aggressive. I just wouldn't say anything and I just kept it all inside. Or I would, blow up in an argument and I would end up, saying things that isn't really something that I wanted to say. And it took a long time to learn how to properly communicate, to say, like, this is how I feel, this is what triggered these emotions, this is what I don't want you to do. Creating healthy boundaries, and that's something that you need to learn how to do. Because I see this overwhelmed card and this Four of Cups reverse, and I think, this King of Cups here, whoever this is, I think this could be a partner, a romantic partner for the majority of you. Somebody that has come into your life and they are a lot healthier emotionally than a lot of people that you've ever known. They're literally showing up as the King of Cups, which is the king of emotion. It's the highest card in the tarot of knowing how to deal with these emotions. You see, he's on this like rocky water, but his throne is like completely steady. Even in the midst of emotions, he's steady. And I think that you're with somebody right now who is very emotionally mature and they want to have this open dialogue with you when there are disagreements, when things are triggering, when there are things that are upsetting. But instead, it's like it triggers you back to maybe there were arguments when you were a child, maybe there was lots of fights when you were a child, and they just made you wall up, they made you go silent, they made you go mute. You had to run away and sequester yourself in like a bedroom or closet or something, because that's the only way that you ever learned how to deal with these emotions. And now you're removed from that kind of environment. You're with somebody who's willing to talk, who's willing to listen, but it's triggering you in the same way that somebody yelling at you would, because you haven't learned how to differentiate, healthy from unhealthy, like arguments versus communication. And they are very different. At the root of them is, the similarity of trying to convey emotions, especially in a very emotional state, but they come out in completely different ways. One way is very unhealthy. It's yelling, it's berating, it's saying things that should not be said about somebody that you love. And the other one is you're still dealing with these emotions, but you're trying to do it logically. You're trying to do it from a place of love. You're trying to explain things, gently and, with respect to one another. I think that this is somebody that really respects you and they want to understand. They want to talk through these things with you. They want to create healthy boundaries and learn so that these things don't happen again. But I see with you, you're reverting back to these, maybe childhood mechanisms where when things get so overwhelming, you wall up. Like this Four of Cups, if you look at it, it's this guy sitting in front of a tree and these cups are trying to get his attention, but he's literally like crossing his arms, head down, not paying attention, not listening. And I feel like when you get overwhelmed, you get like that. You wall up, you don't say anything. Maybe you go mute. Maybe, like I said, you sequester yourself in a room, or you get in your car and you drive away. You don't respond to texts, you don't respond to calls. And I'm not saying like you're a horrible person for doing this. Of course not. I personally understand where this comes from. But at the same time, it's something that you're going to need to work through. If you want to have this healthy relationship, you want to learn to be better, you want to learn how to work through these things, how to make these things, get resolved so you don't have to deal with them again. Instead of running away, you have to stay put. You have to open your ears, open your eyes, uncross yourself, fully make yourself open and explain how you're feeling, how you got to this point, and not do so in a way that's argumentative of like, no, you're wrong. No, you need to listen to me. It's, I felt this way. You felt a different way. But, we both want what's best for each other. We both respect each other. How can we work through this and get to a healthy point where, we're not stuck at these disagreements until it just like fizzles out and goes away. And then, we can just pretend like it never happened. And with bottled up, I feel like this person that you're with is very receptive, very open, and I feel like they're willing to wait. But it's going to be you that has to open up. With this bottle, it's you filled with all these emotions, these triggers, these past trauma wounds that haven't been healed. This person who's open, they're not going to grab this bottle and smash it on the ground and get you to open up by force. They're going to wait for you to open up the top and spill for them. They're willing to wait here for you to be the one to make the decision to talk and be honest and open. And if that means maybe writing it out in a text, or maybe writing it down and giving it to them because it's too hard for you to say it yourself, whatever it is, they're going to be ready for you when it's time. I think that this person has been placed in your life because you're meant to learn these healthy coping mechanisms, this healthy communication method. It's something that you have to do if you want to maintain any sort of healthy relationship. And I know it's scary, but you have to remember that this current relationship that you're in, if this applies to you, is not like those ones when you were a child that were scary, were painful, were filled with yelling and rage. This one is different. Maybe it has hurt, maybe it has, sadness, but this person is not going to hurt you. This person just wants you to open up. And sometimes our brains can get confused, get the wires crossed and think that this situation is hostile, because it wants to protect you. But you have to tell your brain, like, thank you for helping me. I don't need you to protect me anymore. I can handle this on my own. I can learn to communicate and I can move through this on my own without reverting back to those unhealthy coping mechanisms. So, pile 2, that is everything that I have for you. As far as tarot readings go, this isn't therapy, and this is meant for more than one person. So, take what applies to you, take what doesn't. But I encourage you to, go to a licensed therapist, or, there are therapists here on YouTube that already have pre-made videos talking about these subjects. I encourage you to listen to those, maybe read books on this, or do research for yourself of how you can overcome this, how you can learn to have healthy communication habits. Because it is a very difficult thing to do. It's hard to let go of that fear and that pain and, reverting back to those unhealthy coping mechanisms. It's a lot easier to just yell and be mean and hide away because it makes you feel protected. It makes you feel like you have spikes on your back so that nobody can hurt you, nobody can get to you. But this relationship doesn't need that. It's time for a new approach. So, Pile 2, thank you so much for watching. I truly wish you the best in this situation, but that's everything that I have for you. Bye-bye. Alright, Pile 3. Last but certainly not least, if you chose the Crazy Lace Agate, then this is the reading for you. And can I just say that this is one of the most positive readings that I've seen in a long time. I'm going to go at this from 2 angles. I think for the majority of you, this has to do with career, like your career finally reaching the success that you've been trying to manifest. For a small percentage of you, it could be a romantic relationship, and the person finally coming forward. But I think the majority of you, it's going to be career-wise. So I'm going to go at it from that angle, and then at the end I'll explain how it's romantically inclined. So, starting off, you literally, the very first 2 cards that came out were wishes fulfilled and happiness. Like, if that's not, like, straight up, like, complete positivity here. And then getting a little bit more in detail, with the wishes fulfilled card, you have the Hermit and the Knight of Cups. And to me, these 2 cards show that for a very long time, you have been diligently working at making something successful, putting in long hours to make something work, putting a lot of work into maybe like a business, for example, or a specific project that you've been trying to do. Maybe you're a research and you've been doing like long, hard hours trying to research a thing. Maybe you work on some sort of product that you've been trying to produce, but it hasn't gotten the eye of any big investors yet, you are finally getting that breakthrough moment, the moment when people take notice, the moment when offers come forward. You literally have two cards here about offers literally coming forward. The Ace of Pentacles, you see somebody is reaching out a pentacle. The key words of this card are like opportunity, success, emphasis on opportunity. Especially with the Knight of Cups here, it's about an outside entity coming forward to offer you something. So if I had to put this into words career-wise, it's showing me that whatever work you've done has caught the attention of somebody, specifically possibly an investor or a benefactor who wants to offer you an opportunity, wants to offer you a lot of money for your things. So let's say it's a business, for example. Somebody wants to buy you out. Maybe a benefactor who sees this business has a lot of worth, they're going to offer you a lot of money for it, or are possibly going to invest a lot of money to have some equity in the business. For others, maybe if you have been trying to create a product that you want to sell online, it catches the attention of a lot of people, and suddenly you have a lot of people coming forward offering you money for your services or offering you money for this product. It's coming after a long period where you have not seen any of this. With the Hermit card, I feel like this is something you've been working at for a very long time, completely solitary. The Hermit is a very solitary card. You've been working at this even though it hasn't seen the success that you've been desiring, that you've been trying to manifest. I think very soon, you're getting this message right now because I think that this is something that's going to come forward very soon. You are going to be getting this breakthrough moment where those sales start coming through, the investors start coming through, the opportunities start coming through. And something I will tell you is a reason that you might get this message directly before it happens is because you're trying to be forewarned or prepared so that you don't get overwhelmed. So I want you to ask yourself, like, if it's something that you're selling, do you have the inventory in order? Is your website set up to handle the amount of orders that might come through, like the influx of it? Like, let's say if you've been posting on TikTok about your product, what if one blows up and gets millions of views and suddenly you have hundreds of thousands of people trying to get what you're trying to sell? Are you ready to handle that influx? So that could be why you're getting this message up front. Another thing is, like, if you've been trying to have people acquire your business or have people invest in it, maybe it's time to read up on, how those transactions are handled, the legal side of things, so that you don't get so blinded by like all the zeros on the check that you don't see like the fine print of the contract, if that makes sense. So there is a little bit of warning here to just be prepared. Like, are you ready for this to go down? Are you ready to reach all this success that you've been desiring? Because with that success comes a lot of work, comes a lot of preparation to make sure that, all of the correct things exchange the correct hands. But with that being said, I think that you're going to be very happy when this finally happens. I think this is something that you've been wanting for a very long time. So allow yourself to be like, pat yourself on the back. You made this happen, especially with the Hermit card. This is something I think that you've been working on by yourself for a very long time. And, if that moment comes that you have this sudden influx of like all these people, all these offers, all these opportunities, make sure that you're mentally prepared to take on that stress. Don't let it suddenly push away all this happiness because, you're happy to get all this, but you don't want to suddenly be so overwhelmed that you're like, God, I wish this never happened. Like, be prepared is all I'm going to say. But I think that this is something that you really have to look forward to. I wanted to add in that little bit so that, you're not terrified when the moment comes and you're like, oh my God, I wasn't ready for all this. Like, oh my God, it's all happening too fast. But like I said at the beginning, there is a romantic angle I could look at this from. So if you made it this far and you're not resonating with the business aspect, if I was to read this as a romantic reading, I would see it as, you've been alone for a very long time with the Hermit card, and finally somebody is coming forward with a romantic offer. The Knight of Cups, cups have to do with emotion, so this could definitely be viewed in a romantic light. Maybe somebody finally asks you out on a date after a long dry spell, or maybe it's, somebody coming back from your past, or somebody that you've been having an eye on that suddenly comes forward with, a romantic offer of some kind. So it could definitely be that. I just wanted to add that in at the end because I was having those, both those ideas coming at me when I first got the cards. But in general, I do think that the primary viewer of this is going to be those of you that do have a business or are selling something, and so you're gonna resonate more with the former. But to all of you, I wish you the best of luck. I mean, I love giving positive readings. Very rarely do I get these readings that are just, overwhelmingly like happy to hear. A lot of them have to do with like more sad stuff. So it was a pleasure to give you this reading, and I truly wish you the best in whatever this success is. You deserve it. I see that you've been working very hard at it for a long time, so enjoy yourself. But yeah, that's everything that I have for you. Thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye.